Now let's begin the operation and start removing the chip. The first step is to separate the adhesive inside the gaps between the chip and the surrounding components. For this step of cutting the edge adhesive, we use a hot air gun. Both swirling and direct airflow can be used. Adjust the temperature to around 200 C and set the airflow to maximum to soften the adhesive along the edges. Then, use a blade to cut it away. When cutting the adhesive, keep the blade pressed tightly against the chip. Lift it slightly and press it against the chip. Then, pull it back and forth. For areas with thicker adhesive, gently cut it away layer by layer from the surface. It's best to perform this step under a microscope, as some chips have very small components along the edges, such as tiny resistors or capacitors like the ones we see here. If you scrape randomly without a microscope, you might loosen them. When cutting the adhesive, avoid angling the blade outward in this direction or that direction. Keep the blade handle parallel to the chip, don't tilt it sideways in either direction, as this could push the surrounding components out of alignment. Now all the adhesive around the edges of the chip has been scraped away, and we can proceed to remove the chip. The chip removal should be done on the workbench. It's not recommended to do it under the microscope. Under a microscope, it's difficult to keep the hot air gun perfectly vertical, especially for beginners, if the angle isn't controlled well. What appears to be aimed at the chip under the microscope might not actually be. For example, when we aim at this corner, it might actually be heating this area instead, due to the slight tilt. So beginners should definitely not attempt to remove the chip under a microscope. Even experienced technicians might encounter uneven heating if doing it under a microscope. However, I'm demonstrating the method here under the microscope so you can see every detail clearly. We choose the spot to insert the blade. The top right corner area here is relatively open, with no components, so we can start from this spot. The outer middle area is also an option, but don't insert the blade too deeply. If you go this far, the blade might squeeze against the capacitors on both sides and loosen them, so try to avoid inserting the blade in the middle area. The bottom right corner is also relatively open and can be used for removal. However, the CPU of this motherboard is behind this area, and the initial chip removal process can take some time. Therefore, we recommend choosing an area farther from the CPU, such as the top right corner, which is relatively distant from the CPU. We heat the side farther from the CPU first. Start by focusing the heat on this corner. After placing the blade on the motherboard, press it down slightly to keep it flat as you slide it in. Avoid angling or poking it in vertically, as this could damage the motherboard. Gently press it down, keep it flat, and carefully test from the side. The adhesive along the edges is starting to soften, but softening doesn't mean the solder has melted. Wait until you can insert the blade deeper, which indicates the solder is beginning to melt. Now the blade can slide in easily, meaning the solder along the edges has started to melt. Gradually expand the heating to other areas, slowly rotating the blade handle to lift the chip from above. Avoid using too much force. For hard drive chips like those in the iPhone 8 and later models, the outermost row of pins is entirely grounded, and their melting speed is slightly slower. Prying too forcefully can cause pads to lift. Twist the blade handle to lift the chip. Even if some pads along the outermost edge come off, it's generally not a concern. After removing the chip, we'll proceed to scrape off the adhesive. As we saw earlier, there's almost no residual adhesive on the chip. Most of it is on the motherboard. Now we'll start scraping the adhesive from the motherboard. since the hard drive chip is relatively large. There's plenty of room to work. When soldering, it's less likely to affect the surrounding components, so we can directly apply low-temperature solder to the center area. Melt it with a soldering iron, and ensure every solder joint becomes round and shiny, indicating it has fully blended with the low-temperature solder. After applying the low-temperature solder, we'll start scraping the adhesive. Use a hot air gun with swirling airflow, set to around to 30°C. With the airflow at levels 3 to 4, the same temperature used for chip soldering. Aim the hot air gun at the center area to heat it. Now, observe the solder joints. The surface of the solder joints appears matte, with relatively weak reflectivity. When heated to a certain temperature, the solder joints will become very shiny and reflective, indicating the solder has melted. Only then should we start scraping the adhesive. Don't rush. This area is now shiny, meaning the solder has melted. Place the blade flat against the motherboard and drag it backward to scrape off the adhesive. Avoid prying or scraping at an angle, as this could damage the motherboard. Keep the blade flat and drag it backward. Constantly adjust the stand to change the angle for easier operation. Once all the adhesive has been scraped clean, remove the hot air gun. While the solder hasn't solidified yet, low-temperature solder solidifies slowly. Gently sweep the blade back and forth to remove any excess adhesive and solder. If it's starting to solidify, apply a bit more heat to make soldering easier later and reduce cleaning effort. The adhesive is now fully scraped off. Now we'll proceed to clean the residual solder from the motherboard and chip pads. Apply a generous amount of flux because the chip area is relatively large. Then place the desoldering braid on the motherboard to flatten and remove all the leftover solder. Since we already swept the area with a blade earlier, there isn't much solder residue left, making it easier to drag the braid. Alright, the motherboard side looks pretty clean now. Next, let's clean the chip. There's a pad on this corner that might have been slightly loose during prying. And now it came off while dragging the braid. But that's fine, as mentioned when we started prying, for these 110-pin hard drives in iPhone 8 and later models. The entire outermost row of pins is grounded. So losing one or two pads isn't an issue and doesn't need repairing. After both the chip and motherboard pads are flattened, we need to clean them to wash off the flux residue. Next, we'll begin solder ball placement. For iPhone 8 and later models, the stencils for the hard drive area are universal, any model will work. When applying solder paste for smaller chips, we usually scrape forward after spreading it. But for this larger hard drive, avoid scraping. If you scrape, some pads might lose half their solder paste, so don't scrape. After spreading, tilt the blade at a steeper angle and drag it backward to remove the excess. Also, avoid wiping, as that can also remove too much paste. Then use the same temperature we used for scraping adhesive, around to 30°C, for solder ball placement. Move the hot air nozzle a bit faster because the hard drive's stencil openings are larger and mostly in the center of the stencil. If the temperature is too high or the movement too slow, the stencil can easily warp or deform. After moving the nozzle for about a minute, focus the heat to melt the solder balls. The top left pad didn't attach because it's a ground pad that we didn't repair. This is normal. Okay, the solder balls are now properly placed. Now we're ready to reinstall the chip. First, clean the pads. Before installation, carefully inspect to see if any surrounding copper was exposed during adhesive scraping. For example, the pad we see here is round and smooth, with no connection to the surrounding area. If copper is exposed around such a pad, it definitely needs to be insulated with green solder mask. On the other hand, look at this adjacent pad, it clearly connects to the surrounding ground plane in 4 directions. This is a grounded pad, so if there's exposed copper nearby, it doesn't need green mask. Also, pads like this one with visible traces are functional pins, and any exposed copper around them must be covered with green mask. If you're unsure which areas need coverage, the simplest method is to apply green mask to all exposed copper spots you find. Additionally, check areas like the inner sides of components to see if any adhesive wasn't fully scraped off. Once the motherboard is clean, apply some flux and gently heat it with the hot air gun. When the board is warm, the flux spreads more evenly and in a suitable thickness. If the board is cold, the flux tends to be applied too thickly. Now align the chip with the corner where we initially inserted the blade, the top right corner. The same starting point. The placement just needs to be roughly correct. There's no exposed copper here. If there were exposed copper and you hadn't applied green mask, you would need to align it very precisely. Once the chip is positioned, we can start soldering. Adjust the temperature to around 300 C and set the airflow to levels 3 to 4. Begin heating the area where we initially inserted the blade. Once the solder in that area collapses, melts and settles, move the nozzle to heat other areas. You'll see the chip slightly settle into place. If your hand is steady with tweezers, you can gently nudge the chip from the corner at this point. If it springs back slightly, it means it's fully soldered. Be careful not to press down, only nudge from the side, never press. Alright, the soldering is now complete.